Today we are looking at our 3 final Quints and the final Quint updates. We're talking Baby Bowhead, Baby Gnarls, and Mimic in My Singing Monsters, the one we have all been waiting for. So for Mimic, we have speculated before what could happen with them. We went ahead and said Amber Island, Tribal Island, Gold Island, all these places, but it didn't really feel like it had as much opportunity on these islands, and it felt like it would be more suited elsewhere. It's not a fire monster, and it doesn't feel like it was really meant for these islands. So then we proposed the idea inside of this video that it could go to the original islands it was meant for. Now, Mimic was originally going to be the recording studio, so my idea was it could appear on all 5 of the natural islands, and therefore it could mimic all of the different monsters we proposed across so many of these islands. And the fact of the matter is, the dynamic of the game, it has changed now. It's in Dawn of Fire. It feels like it needs just a moment inside of the main game where it could just shine, and it doesn't feel like as much emphasis needs to be on Mimic anymore. And with Fire expansion, there is actually only but one island that comes to mind to me, and that is, of course, Fire Oasis. Fire Oasis, it is literally the most perfect island to exist for Mimic. I mean, seriously, it's got the vibe of Mimic, it's got the humorous side to it, you've got Spirit, this weird monster that doesn't really contribute, but it's here and you just giggle at it, and Mimic fits that vibe perfectly. It's like these two were meant for each other. Oh dear, I think we should change the subject. Fire Oasis 2, it was the only Fire expansion island that was left out. We saw all of the Fire Islands, well, Fire Haven, the Magical Islands get expanded, and Fire Oasis, it is the oddball that is left out here. Now, about any island, I feel like Mimic, it is supposed to go here with Spirit. Its vocals and personality, it fits the island so well, and the clues that have been left behind from Fire expansion definitely point towards this monster going here. We've seen elements now across the islands, which these islands don't have, and Fire expansion, it felt like the final step for this update seriously was for Mimic to go to Fire Oasis. We've got Quints on every single one, and Fire Oasis needs that Quint. And who better than Mimic when it fits the island perfectly? But talking about Mimic, Mimic is in the name. Who will Mimic on Fire Oasis? Quite the mouthful there. The seasonals, it's quite unlikely that it's going to mimic Spirit and Gobblegod, however funny that might end up being. So I think it's going to either be Tweedle, Toejammer, Mammoth, Kana, Glowl, Maw, Fangler, Waddle, or Wink. And out of all of these, I get the feeling that Waddle or Wink seem like the most likely ones. Mimic, it always, based on what we've seen it so far, it likes to mimic monsters straight after they have played their part. Of course, it's mimicking them. What do we expect from this monster? And it also seems to like mimicking them at the end of the songs. Dum dum. And Waddle and Wink perfectly match those 2 criteria, so I think it's going to be seen with those 2 monsters. But Waddle and Wink, they both have small parts left after the parts that they sing in, so it feels like they might also have 2 tracks on Fire Oasis, which would be perfect, I think, seeing as though we've been waiting for Mimic for so long in the main game. So maybe a part with Mammoth or Glow would be cool too. And talking about Mimic, something which I'm really excited about is seeing how Mimic looks in My Singing Monsters. And therefore, I'm going to pull up Lycoad's art here. Lyco has brought up here a wonderful dynamic change towards this Dawn of Fire monster. I am so excited to see how they change up this monster. It's going to be weird seeing the other Quints get these sort of upgrades in Dawn of Fire, but to revert back to that original core style, I think Lyco's done it in an amazing way here. I think portraying this monster in all of the glory that they deserve, seeing as though my in-game players have been waiting for it for so long, is so important with Mimic. I know we've already seen it in Dawn of Fire, but I really hope they take some liberties and perhaps go way further, hopefully, than Amber Island, just because of how much we have waited for this monster in particular. And this return is going to be so enormous. I think this captures it so well. It makes it out to be so much more different than the Dawn of Fire, much more than what Amber Island ever did with the Quints for sure, and excites me immensely. Please do something like this. It would be so cool. Lyco, we love you. But now let's actually change the subject. check. So we've got another Mimic now in the main game, but let's talk about Dawn of Fire now. Now, Bowhead, we're going to start off with as good old Bowhead here, because I actually think we've got something very special on his hands with Bowhead. With it being Dawn of Fire, the question that we all have is, what islands is Bowhead going to be on? So I'm going to make some predictions here. Now, I don't think they are actually going to do what I am going to say for Bowhead, but I'm putting it out there because it is the best option for this monster. I think that Bowhead should go to both Party Island and Space Island. It has actually been years since we have seen any monster, literally, at all, actually make a debut on more than one outer island. And I feel like, therefore, I'm seeing a lot of everyone to try and make this happen. But I feel like this is too much of a good opportunity to miss out on. Please, for the love of God, please, this has to happen, alright? Bowhead and Space Island, match made in heaven. But then Party Island as well. Party Island, the living ocean, which surrounds Party Island, is where Bowhead comes from. And therefore it makes so much sense to see this monster as well on Party Island. And with Party Island getting updated, I could never imagine them just releasing a Quint on Party Island, but having them on both gives the community a chance to not see this as a missed opportunity. People often go to Party Island and don't want monsters over there because they don't like the island, they don't want their monster to go there when it could go somewhere else. But if we have it on both, it could finally give a chance to Party Island to improve so much, and also for Space Island to get some love, as this is going to literally be the final update to it probably. On Party Island, the main reason why I want to see it on both islands is because I feel like with Party Island, it's just so bad. There's a reason why the community does not like this island. This is by far the community's least favourite island. You can see that so immensely, and having the prospect of Bowhead doing something like what he did to Psychic Island on Party Island illuminates me. It makes me so excited. I love this idea so much. So much. I feel like it can do so much on Party Island. It can turn this skeleton of a song into something meaningful, and especially when we have monsters like Pain and Candelabra playing, you can feel like the song is going somewhere, but it just doesn't manage to captivate it. But now it's finally the chance, I think, with Bowhead to captivate on what was meant for this song and heighten it up to this prospect, just like what Light Island, what happened with that island, and Psychic Island, because that is exactly what I want Bowhead to do. Do Psychic on Party. Make this island amazing, okay? It's the community's least favourite island, and like I've said, there's a meaning behind that, and I really want to see this island be reconstructed by one of the Quints, and Bowhead is the perfect one to do it. Party Island, it could go somewhere with Bowhead, alright? But the main one that I'm sure everyone would probably be most excited about is Space Island. Space Island, Bowhead is made for this song. I can literally picture this monster without even thinking about it. When I'm sat there listening to songs, I can usually not picture it inside of my head how it's gonna go, but I can literally hear it while I'm sat there listening to the song. That's how much of a match this sound is to the Space Island song. Bowhead, it's not like anything I've theorized before, it's just a snap for this island. Like Clackula. Snap, 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 snap. Clackula, we love you. Now, every single verse on Space Island, just like to Party, I feel like would suit Bowhead so much. Maybe even just doing a Psychic Island here, like I said, for Party Island, would just be awesome. You can imagine it playing through the whole thing. I see Bowhead as a rather rare opportunity, honestly. Going from Psychic now, I can see the amount of potential that this monster can bring, and specifically with these two islands, I feel like this monster can be the one that gives off these islands the send-off that they deserve, because we're not getting any more updates past this point for these islands, guys, and therefore I want these islands to finally complete themselves, and this is the monster to do it. So then we can move on to even more exciting things for Dawn of Fire, which don't even get me started on. That is exciting. As well with Bowhead, something what I'm looking forward to is its final addition to the Space Island song. We've had that verse now for so long and it's been so bare, but Bowhead can finally add something there. That's going to be a moment to remember, because that verse already sounds like it's going to be really cool when it's finished, and I can't wait to see how it finishes up. And speaking about this bare verse as well, I actually want to go back to the continent for a sec here, because I think the ending verse as well over there with Bicinerus, that is where Bowhead is going to go to. You can feel it now. Originally, I was speculating maybe all of Quints would go there. That was a pretty zealous prediction there. I won't put too much thought into it, but with Bowhead, you can see that that Quint is made for that part. It is going to be the one that finally fills out that ending section and gives up its send-off too. It's the opportunity to make, I think, as well, that verse sound so harmonious and the ending sound alike to Mythical Island, honestly. I love Mythical Island's ending verse so much, and therefore seeing something like that with the consonant has me excited already. I'm already humming along to Mimic so much. It's my favourite part in the consonant now. Bowhead, go there, love. We have the Baby Bowhead as well, though. So with Baby Bowhead, it's obviously going to take on a different design. Mainly with this one, I'm picturing it's going to be a much more simple Quint baby design, a miniaturized Bowhead, basically. I envision Baby Bowhead having a lighter grey hue to reflect the colours of young whales and to contrast with the darker tones of the adult as well. Lighter tones are going to make it more playful, aren't they? I'm thinking it could have 2 arms too, rather than the 4. It's too small, this one. You've got to give it a bit of living space. Okay. Otherwise, these 4 arms are going to take up all the entire design. And I think it's got a float still as well. They do like to sometimes have these monsters sitting, but with Bowhead making such dynamic sound contributions, it's got to have that floating aspect still, so it can have these lively animations and properly picture how much of an impact Bowhead is going to make towards the consonant song. You can't sit, you can't relax, Mr. Bowhead, you hear me? And the main design centerpiece I imagine behind Bowhead is actually going to be its hairstyle. It's not really too much that you'd probably envision for this, but I feel like it'll really help in bringing this baby form's personality out. And for Baby Bowhead, let's go on over to Ral's design. Good old Ral's over here. You've put together this wonderful miniaturized look, and this is basically what I picture. A bit lighter and a bit more a play on the hairstyle. So we've got some cute eyes here, some miniaturized arms, this little spiral there where usually Bowhead's rather handsome chin goes inside of his adult form. Oh my goodness, I can't get over that that's been removed, honestly. Anyway, adult Bowhead as well. Ral's has made here. They made this in a shot where I actually thought this was real, and I thought the update would come out, but no, it was just Ral's with their texturing work. Awesome job there. You tricked me. Then we've got Gnarls as well to talk about. Gnarls. This is the one that I'm sure everyone's been waiting for me to talk about. Good old Gnarls, I think, for the island that they're going to be going to, is actually the most obvious one, I'd say. For Gnarls, I absolutely think they're going to Cave Island. A final monster for Cave Island. Its design, it was meant for there, okay? You can't prove me otherwise. It's a match made in heaven again. But actually, I do feel like that Gnarls is going to be a rather delicate addition towards the Cave Island song. It's not as much of an upbeat, you screaming monster like Yelmo or Growl over there, and therefore I think it's got to be quite carefully added to the song so the impact can still be felt and it doesn't go in those overcrowded sections. I feel like therefore it's got to go where Bicinerus plays, because that section feels like it would be awesome with Gnarls, or one of the building up parts. Bicinerus, though, that is the part that I think would fit the most. Overall though, Cave Island, the most loved our island, with the most loved Quint, that is how you send off Dawn of Fire, baby. Alright, if we aren't getting the Hex, but please, the Hex, that is the thing that the game has built up towards, and I will not let that go. That is the final monster that should be added to the continent. Anyway, let's move on to the continent talking about that. Now, unlike on Cave Island, where it feels like Gnarls has got to be so much more delicately added towards the song, it does feel like on the continent they are going to be a natural fit. You can already picture it a bit like to Bowhead. I feel like it can add even more epicness towards the climax of the song when Yule plays. There's a lot I feel like is going to be added to that part when Gnarls comes along. The epicness factor of the song is just going to rise so much, and I cannot wait. And speaking about how I feel like this is going to be a really seamless integration, I feel like because of the way that Gnarls works and how the song seems to flow with Gnarls, we are actually probably going to get the most epic sounding Gnarls part that we have seen as of yet, which excites me so much. This is the song that Gnarls is finally going to thrive in. There were kind of mixed opinions on Bone Island Gnarls. Lots of people thought it was epic, but lots of people thought maybe it could have done a bit more. But I feel like this time, this is where we're going to see Gnarls at its prime on the continent. And speaking about it going in seamlessly, they've got to absolutely add it elsewhere, I think. And therefore, I think it would be a really nice fit with Flamox too, inside of the build-up towards it, towards its epic sound in the climax of the song. Have one there too to fit with it. So it can build up that song with Flamox, and then have go out with an epic finale at the end. I think these two tracks would work really well towards a send-off towards the continent and be a really nice addition for one of the final monsters to it as well. And with Baby Gnarls, I feel like this is the one that a lot could be done with out of all of the Quints, because there is so much potential here. I'm not just thinking it's going to be a miniaturized form. I feel like going back to what Gnarls is, there's so much that we could see here. The Gnarls are actually the yellow flowers that we see on top of the tree. They take over the green tree and hijack it, and therefore in this young form, I think we are going to see what those yellow flowers come from before they hijack the green tree, as described in the bio. And judging by the looks behind these plants, they've got vines dangling down them. They're sort of daffodil-like, and with this being a more fantasy-style plant, I think we are going to see something very unique that is only accustomed to the monster world. I think this therefore could also lead to a really large play on the character, potentially a lot like Deej, where you saw them in the baby form and then the adult form is a huge difference in that factor. I feel like this is going to be a very similar situation for Gnarls. We're going to see that original plant it was from. The signature arms, we could see it being replaced with vines or something from this other plant that it has at the time, and the yellow flowers, of course, we'll just see those miniaturized, but mainly the plant that it has in that time, I think is going to really spice this design up. Let's also go to Gnarls to have a look at the Baby Gnarls design. They have come up with a very, very cute little Gnarls here. They have just basically took the original trees from them, what it might look like in a more miniaturized form. I super hope that they do something a lot more unique with the shrubbery on this one, but an awesome design from Gnarls here, and I really hope they do something to replace the arms, because we've got to see something really cool like that with the animations too. I'm sure lots of you are wondering, when are we going to see this MPG? Well, you know, Dawn of Fire, it's quite unpredictable, but we've been seeing a lot of updates for it, and therefore I think actually we are going to see all of the Quints in 2024. That is a prediction, right? I didn't say that, guys. I take it back. No, seriously, though. I do think we are going to see them in 2024. Digest it. Let it sit there. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm saying that, but I think it's happening. I think we are going to see them in one of the seasonal events. So that is going to be either in the Season of Love, Extravaganza, Summer Song, or Anniversary Month, I feel. I think we are going to see each one in one of the seasonal events that I have just listed off there, which is quite exciting. And then for good old Mimic, there is only but one time, I think, where this monster will be suited most, and that is inside of Perplexplore. Give Perplexplore a little bit more of love, I think, and give it the Mimic. We want the Mimic. Give it me. I just as well want it to come out with Spirit, honestly, because that's a match made in heaven, please. Spirit, Mimic, that's a match made.